Okay, so I have Mr. Macho O'Rourke. This is someone I have been dying to get on for a long, long time. You probably remember me asking you 2 or 3 years ago. Um, and then it's finally happening now. You've got a fight coming up this weekend, a big fight, another fight on your fighting championship, obviously where you're the champion. How are you? Thank you very much for taking time, especially so close to the fight. How are you? And what does this week feel like for you? How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's really nice to actually sit down and fully have this conversation again. I know we did talk about it a little bit, and scheduling and stuff kind of got in the way, but yeah, I'm good. It's any other week. It's the same as the usual grind, kind of just ramping it up a little bit, but same as always.
And fight week, obviously the kind of week before the week of fight week, you kind of taper off, and obviously there's like a lot of people need to manage their weight and stuff like that and different things. How do you manage fight week? Is it hard? Because like we talked just before we went on that you're constantly in the gym, in the gym, in the gym, you're training, and obviously you need to taper off. There's no more hard sparring or rolls or stuff like that in case of injury. You have to focus on the weight. How hard is it to switch off when you're constantly going like that? You said your life is training. How is it? How does it switch off for that week, or does that give you a chance to get into the zone?
I mean, I find it very easy to be lazy, to be honest with you. Yeah. I'm very good at taking opportunities to be very fucking lazy. No, I mean, like I was saying to you, I spend a lot of time in the gym. I'm either coaching, training myself, or doing odd bits, just finding myself in the vicinity. I might be in the gym, so it's essentially I'm part of the furniture in there as is. So this week now coming up to a fight and tapering down, it's more so just I want to hit all the marks. You got to hit all the marks when it comes to weight, getting the water in or getting the sessions that are important, maybe tactical sessions where you're talking about fight plans or, just a small like, okay, let's get a little bit of sweat going, get the engine moving a little bit. These kind of small things leading up to a fight that are kind of different from the daily grind of being in the gym are really the only thing that's kind of been added.
Yeah, and then like that, a lot of fighters say they find it hard to just switch off, but you've had 9 fights now. You're kind of this comes with experience and time, and you're going to be fighting a very good opponent as well. He's Al Houlihan's, which is like obviously Paddy Houlihan's a legend within Irish MMA. Um, do you look at fighters yourself, or do you let your coaches do? Because some fighters think that like they get wrapped up in them, and you know yourself as an amateur fighter how much you can improve from one fight to another. So, what way do you approach your kind of game plan, or does you leave it to coaches?
Well, it's exactly what you said. At the amateur level, especially on the come up, it's so difficult to get a read of someone when we're constantly evolving. I personally, I'm not a fan of looking at tape or anything like that. I've never really watched tape. Now, I've seen Callum. I actually, funny enough, I was up coaching at a National MMA League a couple of years ago, and I saw Callum get into the cage, and I was kind of like, oh shit, this might be an up and coming dude, and I never once thought that I'd be coming up against him myself. So it's an honor in that way. But yeah, when it comes to watching tape or preparation, I'm very comfortable kind of trusting my coach, Miles Price. He does a lot of the study. He kind of comes in with, this guy's really good at this. We have to respect this when we're in there. We got to watch out for this. Let's push on this, etc., etc. So it's building a healthy respect for what could be in there, but I'm also given the opportunity to build my own assumption when I'm in the moment, and I find that that's a game changer in a sense, especially just for myself. I find, people like to study their opponents, know what's coming in its entirety, but I'm more of a fan of just kind of, okay, this guy, take Ben, for example, solid striker, probably going to be heavy forward pressure, good aggression. We're expecting that, but I don't want to try and pinpoint it to, okay, he's stepping this way and he's doing I'll get a feel for it when I'm in there.
Yeah, and like that fight IQ is something that grows over time. And like we said, you could watch tape on Callum's last fight, and he could be completely different because obviously him and Paddy are going to go and correct the mistakes that were made in that fight. So those mistakes might not be there. And obviously, you mentioned your coach, Miles Price, another legend. I met him coming back from a show, and I went in to get a sandwich in the center. And I think we stood there for an hour talking about MMA. And it was
So
just a
sorry.
good woman that was like, Dave, we need to go home. Like, so she was obviously in the conversation. But like coming up to this fight, you've come so far. I remember watching you years back. Um, your only two losses are Conor McCarthy. Obviously, you seen what he's doing, and he kind of set the amateur world alight his last year in it, and he's kind of gone on to pro Sam Driver, which was a rematch which you won originally. But all your fights, most of them have been finishes as well. Talk to us about the start. What made you kind of go into MMA? What brought you into MMA?
Um, well, it was kind of an easy path for me. I moved around a little bit when I was a kid. My dad was a guard, so it kind of it became a thing of like, I guess in one sense, I tried to create a new version of myself. So you want to be the new kid coming to a school, you want to come with like cool stories, and you're kind of like, I did this, I did, it's all bullshit, you know. Everyone kind of makes up stuff like that. And for me, one of the ones that I latched onto was like, oh yeah, I've tried a bit of martial arts, never stepped into a martial arts gym in my life, but I kind of ingrained that in myself when I came to school. Yeah, I've done that cool stuff, you know. And then I kind of actually turned 16, and about a month after I turned 16, a friend of mine said, you know, there's a gym across. I was living up in Cavan at the time, and he said there's a gym across in Monaghan. So do you want to tip up and we'll give it a go? And I kind of went, yeah, all right, okay, yeah, sure, we'll jump in, we'll give it a go. And sure, as soon as we showed up, you know, it just blew up from there. I mean, when I was younger, I think everyone has a movie. You know, I think any martial artist that competes has seen a movie when they were younger. It's either Bloodsport, Kickboxer, or whatever. You know, I saw the movie Never Back Down, which is a terrible, terrible piece of shit. It's got Amber Heard in it as well, which is just a fucking no-no as is. You know, poor Johnny Depp. But I saw that as a kid, and it's about a guy going to a new school, and he meets a bully who already does martial arts, and he, you know, through training and a bit of character development, he overcomes a great kind of enemy in a sense. He overcomes this kind of bully in a way, and he ends the fight in the movie with this big head kick. And I remember for months I had these, you know, these old terrible recliners in the house, the big
Yeah.
fucking cushions. For months I'd just throw round kicks at this fucking thing. I must have been like 8 or 9 years old, dude. And I was just throwing around, like, you know, my mother's slapping the fucking head off me because I'm kicking the furniture around. But ever since then, it kind of just left that little grain. And when I got the opportunity, I really just kind of jumped at it. I was like, yeah, I've always kind of looked at videos and looked at YouTube videos, and sure, why not? And then I think within a couple of weeks, we jumped into the advanced classes, and you know, that was it. It just fell into place for me.
It was just it's mad that Never Back Down sounds kind of similar to your story, except there was a martial arts. Maybe you could
That's
have
yeah,
been.
it resonated so deeply like that, you know.
Yeah, no, it's kind of cool. And did you know once you kind of got in and like you said, you went to the advanced class? Because a lot of people would assume when you go to an MMA gym, it's all fighters, it's scary, it's intimidating. But what people don't understand is what keeps those gyms alive and keep those gyms going is just normal members who do jits, who do just striking, or it's just a release. It's not all fight. Like it's only, you know yourself, only a small percentage in a lot of gyms that would fight. Did you think you were going to compete? Were you doing it just to do it, or what do you remember the moment when you thought, you know what, I'd like to have a go at this and fight?
Well, you know, it's funny you mentioned about, you know, the first day you walk into an MMA gym, because I say it to new members in our gym all the time. It's a story I bring up all the time where I had that exact thought. I was going to walk into this place. It's going to be full of gigantic tattooed Neanderthalic dudes who are just fucking, you know, steadied. They look like eight circles in a fucking singlet. But I walked in. The first two people I met was this little stoner couple. Like, just the name was Dan and Jen, and they were both 5 foot tall, and they were massive stoner, purple belts in jiu-jitsu. And I walked in and I kind of went, oh, you guys are coaches. That's really weird. And then they spent the next hour beating the shit out of me. And I think from that moment, I didn't think about competing from then, but I kind of went, yeah, these are my people. These, you know, this is a great community. The competition side of it, man, I never really thought about competing, to be honest with you. I looked at movies and TV shows, and I was like, man, I want to do the cool spinning thing. And I, like, you know, I saw a judo throw for the first time, and if you've seen any of my fights, I fucking love hip tosses. So it was the same as the round kick, man. As soon as I figured out how to do it, I was just doing it to everything and everyone. It was the party trick, you know. For me though, competing really came into fruition when I came down to Kilkenny first. So I took a bit of time off. I think I trained from 16 to 18, and then from 18 to 22, hit a little bit of a rough patch, put on quite a lot of weight, and fell into a bit of a pit, and I'd been to at the time it was Team Rhino Kilkenny, now Myalo. I'd been there a handful of times, not enough to kind of get to know the community or anything, but it was actually COVID that really kind of changed my mind. And I decided to get into shape. I decided I wanted to lose all this fat, could stop feeling sorry for myself, that kind of thing. And I think it was like the first or second time that lockdown was called off, I messaged Miles to kind of jump in. I want to start training. He goes, "Yeah, how do you feel about fighting in August?" And I kind of went, uh, "Yeah, yeah, why not? Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, what's it like? Yeah," kind of trying to psych myself up, like I wasn't shitting myself. I was like, "Yeah, what? Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, let's go." And yeah, that was Public and Fela up in Belfast, and I think after that it was just, yeah, this is what I want to commit to now. This is it.
What a show to go on to as well. Talk to us about that show because obviously Premier had done one, have done one since. But that one was kind of the first one on the island. Obviously, Premier would be down the Republic, but for me, it's all one. And I'm not getting political or anything, but you know what I mean. Like it was the first one on the island, and it was a big show. It ran from really early to really late. There was so many people. I believe Sean Bannon was on that show as well, maybe. There was
Yeah.
a couple of like fighters that are now gone on to pro. Talk to us about that experience because I wasn't there. I wasn't in the scene at the time. And I look back, that's when I kind of got into it. I seen that and went, wow, what is this? Um, what was it like for you as a fighter, especially with the nerves and everything, the first time going in to fight? You've just been asked to fight in August. What was
Yeah.
that like, the whole build up to it, and then the experience in that venue?
Yeah, I mean, build up wise, it was everything was so new, so it was fairly exciting. The weight cut was fine. We were fighting at a weight that was very comfortable for me at the time, and the build up was a mix of that excitement, nervous energy, just kind of unexpected. I didn't know what I was going to be facing, and in a way, I'm really grateful to have an experience like Public and Fela as my first fight because we it's a big festival stage. There's a couple of hundred, maybe 1,000-ish. I think there was 3,000 people at it. Big festival stage in front of everyone. You really get a feel for what could be ahead if choosing a pro career because you're walking out. There's music, there's flashing lights, there's everything. And for me, it was yeah. The one thing that my mind goes straight back to was there was a little warehouse that everyone's getting warmed up in, and there was like a van that would bring us down to the actual stage. We go behind stage, get warm, and then go up. And I remember sitting in the van with Miles and Mick Brennan and another coach or former coach from the gym, and it felt like the scenes in the movie where you're gonna like bring in a prisoner to be executed. So like you're sitting in the back of the van, your hands are all taped up, and you're sitting there like, oh God, like you're stopping the van in the middle of a field, and you're like, oh, this is it, shit, But yeah, in a way, as soon as you get out there, you see that crowd, you see the cage, and you're making the walk, the mind just goes, you just completely blank out. And for me, it was like television static until I get in. As soon as I get in, I have one single thought, which is something along the lines of, all right, one of us is going to die, and then you just commit to it. You're there for 10 minutes, you may as well just go for it. And I think in that fight, I look back on it, and obviously I look back on it from the standpoint that I'm at now, and I go, that's so sloppy, that's so all over the place. But for how young I was in my career at the time, it was raw, just energy. It was raw kind of adrenaline, just really committing to I'm going, and I'm going to get this guy. And it was the first real experience of that. I had never really had an experience like that where I'm taking shots, nose, I was bleeding all over myself. I got kicked in the head at one stage, and it was just kind of like this is a fucking brawl, and like you get that spike, and you're going, 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 going. Now, obviously, the come down afterwards, when the adrenaline was gone, I thought I was going to die. I think everyone experiences that, at least once, where you feel amazing, then the energy comes down, you feel all the pain, you feel like you're going to die. That was a big one, a big shock at the time. But yeah, I'd like saying that it's a piece of history because it is. It's the first open outdoor MMA show in Ireland, and what an absolute privilege it is to debut on that, and to be part of that kind of Irish history for MMA. it was even enough. It was enough for me. You know, I did at that stage. I wasn't thinking career. I wasn't thinking anything like that. I'd say, okay, I left a little stamp on it, and that was great. And then, the next offer came in, and it was kind of like, yeah, all right, let's try this again. Let's get on the hype train again. Let's get the adrenaline, the nerves going again.
Yeah, no, like you said, to be a part of history, if like that, if you never fought again, you would always have that, and it could never be taken away. And what a place! And I don't know if it was probably better that was your first fight, you didn't know what to expect, or if you were a couple of fights in, you might have been a little. I know you said you were nervous, but like you might have overthought things a bit more, as you progress with your skill sets and career and mindset as well. But like that, you've been on a really good run, and you've fought some really good people. And I remember when I kind of started paying attention was the Ryan Higgins fight because I remember he was kind of on the up and you both came together. And
Yeah.
then it was when I seen the knockout, I was like, whoa, like you hit hard and you talked about going for it. One of the things, and I said to you before we started, when you talk, like you're so intellectual, you're so well spoken. But then I have a video of my phone of you barking at me in the cage. Like it's such a contrast. Talk to us about what happens when you get in there. It just shows that you do lock in there. Do you feel different when you step in there?
Uh, well, first of all, it is the greatest compliment in the world to me for someone to have a conversation with me. And then, once or twice, I have an actual memory of sitting beside the mats in the gym. And I was just talking to one of the guys. It was his first night. And I was saying, oh, yeah, it's a bit nervous stepping into the gym, all that kind of stuff. And then he kind of turned around and went, do you fight or are you just like one of the receptionists here? And I had a little bit of laugh. Some of the teens that were in the class were laughing a little bit as well. And they were like, at this stage, I'd already fought Ben. I think it was only earlier this year. And they went, have you ever thought about fighting or anything like that? And I go, yeah, I guess a little bit. You try not to crush anyone down with it, but it is an absolute compliment to be told. I couldn't tell that you were a fighter. It is a great compliment in a way. But um, yeah, there definitely is a change. I would say that kind of locking in, like you were saying. I don't know, man. I think when it comes down to it, the way I always describe it was always it turns very medieval towards the end of the week on fight week when you're thinking about stepping in and like I've said, I'm used to the nerves now at this stage, but at the same time, I never not want to be nervous, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
any of the new guys, even if they're competing JITS or national MMA leagues or they're having a first amateur fight, I always kind of say, okay, you don't want to fight the nerves. It's great getting those nerves there because they lock you in. I always quote The Dark Knight, that Christopher Nolan movie. There's a line in it that brings me back to feeling nervous for the first time, which was how can you move faster than possible without the greatest impulse of the spirit, which is the fear of death? And that for me is always, if I'm super confident, if I'm super comfortable, I'm going to be slow. So I need those nerves to kick me in a little bit. And I would say it's almost the nerves that kind of bring that out in me a small bit. When I'm comfortable, I'm easy going, I'm a bit lazy. I kind of sit around, I'll chat, I'll have the crack, be a bit stupid, but the little bit of nerves of realizing like, okay, this guy's, he's not coming in here to have a laugh at me. We'll have a laugh afterwards and I'll give him all the respect in the world afterwards. But as soon as I step in, there's 10 minutes where, like I said, I get a bit medieval. I kind of go, there's 10 minutes where you're trying to fucking kill me and I'm going to try and kill you. And one of us is leaving here. And, you can look at it that way. But yeah, there's definitely probably a few fellas in the gym that would argue that I get like that in sparring sometimes. But yeah, no, for me, it's just a case of when the time comes and realizing the reality of the situation is okay, if I don't be smart here, if I don't lock in and get a bit violent, then I'm gonna get hurt or worse.
Yeah, it's basically like you said, medieval. I'd go like caveman, like need like real instinctual, like is kill or be killed. We're in here together for that amount of time, and like I said, rather him than you. What you said about the nerves, I really like as well, because when people say to me, "I'm calm as a cucumber," and I think if there's anything important to me in my life, whether it's a job interview or just say I'm doing a sit down interview for the first time or something, if I didn't have those nerves, for me, it would feel. I could be wrong now because people are different and think differently, and that's what makes it so interesting. But I think those nerves is what makes me think, okay, did you really care about this? Do you know that sort of way? And I think, but then sometimes people just have this thing they could offset. But I think nerves is a good thing. Like I said, it will make you like it'll make you do the things correctly. It'll make you lock in more, focus more, make sure you get it right. Because then you, if you don't, if you do all that and then you do fail, at least you've done all the things. And I think the nerves do set that off. And like I said, I've seen so many of your fights. I've been there in person, and it's just like it's. I remember watching it and just like, whoa, this is just like I love seeing you fight because it's just, and I love seeing the big people fight. And I know it's going to be a war. And even when you fought Bradley Rice, but that was another war. Like it's just so good. How did you like? Going from fight to fight, you like obviously you get better and better. Do you notice that during your training camps, or is it when you kind of put your kind of training into live competition where you actually notice the incremental uh advances in your skill set? Like, do you notice it as you're training, or do you have to wait for live competition to see how it works in a live competition? If you get me.
Yeah, well, first of all, that Bradley Rice fight, I think one of my favorite videos is a cage side one you took. I'm almost certain you took it, where it's not the greatest camera work, but it's there, and all you can hear is oh God, oh shit, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That is me.
That was I thought that was very funny. I thought that was brilliant. But yeah, for me, my whole mantra, I guess, for the first couple of fights, was that kind of medieval thinking of get in, kill or be killed. And for me, it was like, I'll take more punches to the face than you can. I'll drag you to depths that you can't go to. I'll take all this punishment and give it back. I don't care. And I held that belief and that kind of system of fighting for a while. But I really have to give credit to a man named Gavin Burke, who's been working with me up until only recently, um, about the mentality of fighting and the mentality of competition and where your brain should go, and the idea of the amygdala and how to frame off the amygdala, but that fight or flight kind of idea of competition. And one of the biggest differences I noticed was just before the fight with Ben in December. We sat down and we kind of talked about, okay, this is let's say your personality when you're fighting. You have Machu and the Hound. So for me, it was always the Hound is going in there and I'm going to drag people to the depths and I'm going to be vicious and I'm going to be violent and I'll outlast you. You can hit me as much as you want. And that's it. And Gavin kind of thought, okay. The one thing he said to me was, why do you feel the need to do that? And I kind of thought, well, that's how I feel like it's been earned. I feel like that's how I earn a fight or I earn a win is I go digging for it essentially. So take the Bradley Rice fight. Bradley dropped me in the first round. I thought he took me down. That's how quickly that motherfucker hit me. All the respect to Bradley for it. He hit me with probably one of the cleanest 1-2s I've ever been hit with. But you can see when I land, I go to hold my legs and scoot back because I think
Yeah.
he's taking me down. And I look up, he's running at me, and I go, oh shit. And I get all the way back up. After that first round, it switched into big swinging arms and going ape shit that way. And I think someone recognized me and they said, did you win a fight recently? Were you this guy? Like that? And I went, I think that was me. Yeah, shit. So I had to try and evaluate that. And we spoke on that a little bit, myself and Gavin. And he kind of said, okay, you feel like you need to do that to earn that win, but is there anything lesser about how like a samurai would win a fight where you just unsheath one cut and you're done? Like, is there anything that you feel like you wouldn't have earned all this training and preparation, all this kind of like tempering of steel to just cut them down in one? Is that less or more like earned? Like, where are you finding this satisfaction of earning? And that sat with me for a little while, and for two reasons. Well, I suppose it did two things to me, which was made me want to be patient and made me want to pick my shots properly, not just go swinging and hope one lands. But it also helped me kind of develop a pre-flow, mindset going into a fight. And for me personally, when I'm watching my fights back, or if I'm looking back and studying, I see a major difference between Bradley and Ben. Where Bradley, I kind of went out swinging, going crazy, the usual style. And then with Ben, I was sitting, moving, pot shotting a little bit. And yeah, I think at the moment, it's definitely within my training that I find the development, or I try and slow things down a little bit and kind of be more active with my thinking. What am I focusing on? How am I moving? Do I want to break this down a little bit? And I'll spend time just moving slowly to get the footwork and then slowly build it up and up and up and up. And I'll do that with a lot of different techniques just to kind of really cement the focus of it, and that for me is just sharpening the sword, you know. But yeah, the major difference I see was coming from the Bradley fight to the Ben fight, and yeah, hopefully now there's only the development from there. But the only time that I can really see it, that I don't see myself being throwing big punches and actually being methodical with my fighting, is that jump, and hopefully it will only develop from there in the future, you know.
Yeah, no, and I find it interesting. A lot of things that you said that I'm thinking about, and I'm probably going to think about after we get off this. I'm probably going to be up on like on this. I really like that. A lot of people I talk to now talk to sports psychologists and stuff like that. Do you think it was something that I know is coming into play a lot now? Do you think it's something that was overlooked by people? Because I think fighting obviously is physical, but you know yourself, like you've probably seen teammates, they can get psyched out before a fight. We've seen it with, like, just say Jose Aldo and McGregor years ago. Like it was like he was defeated before he got in. Do you think that was overlooked for years, and because of the evolution of the sport with nutrition, everything, say like it's all coming in now? Do you think it was overlooked and it's starting to come in now? And what made you go down that road, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Well, I mean, McGregor's a great example. Connor was excellent at the mind game. We have to kind of appreciate that for what it was, and let people kind of noticed, the trash talk and getting into people's minds, but people weren't aware of, his belief system in himself. Now, obviously, you can take that and kind of say, well, look at him now, he's running for president, all that stupid shit. But back in the bare bones, when he was making a name for himself, you had to respect that he had this plan in place, and he saw a higher version of himself to kind of go, right, this is who I am. This is what I'm capable of. I'm going to push for this. And this is my, what's called a telos, which is like your mission in life. The Greeks believed it was your mission in life is your telos, what you're born to do. And Connor figured out fairly quickly that that was to be a fighter. And you have to hold a hand up to it and respect that he was able to hyper focus that to like a laser point. And that's why he eviscerated Aldo. That's why he went through everyone. He just had such a sharpness to his mindset in regards to competition, you know. But I feel like with the sport that evolves so quickly and it's evolving so much, especially in the last couple of years, it's really, really becoming pinpoint accurate with the evolution. Mind games and the psychological side of it, outwardly, we could go back, Chael Sonnen is one that came to mind straight away. He was great at talking shit. He was great at getting in people's heads. But I feel like the real development is of the self now. I think people are starting to look inward rather than projecting outwards. And like you said, trying to psych other people out. And you see fighters get psyched out still. I think now the difference is sitting with that belief system, because no one, I think, again, not to use Connor as an example, but I feel like when you let it go too far, when you let the ego go rampantly and it kind of takes over, um, then it becomes an issue in the opposite sense. There's too much belief and not enough substance, you know? So finding that line of pinpointing it with like a laser precision is very important. And I think outwardly, it's been there for years. It's definitely been outwardly, like messing with other people's heads, been there for years. But yeah, I think the real development is only coming into fruition now for people themselves, seeing sports psychologists, or just like, another example would be like, I guess I'm after drawing a fucking blank there.
Of
You'll have to
of
cut
inwardly or
that.
outwardly? Because I was going to say for inwardly, I look at Paul Hughes. Like he said when he was fighting on Cage Conflict, I am the best lightweight in the world, and I'm going to show you. He goes, I'm not telling you for you to believe it or for me to believe it. This is what I believe. I believe in me. And like you said, the outward sometimes can be looked at, maybe not that the person doesn't have confidence, but or maybe it could be that they don't have confidence, so that's why they want to project it out. But you look, there's a lot of fighters now that are like that. Ian Gary's another one who's like, I am the best. I will be champion. And like I said, you do see a lot more of that, and it's gone away from the kind of the showmanship a little bit. I says my internet connection is unstable, but you're still there. You can still hear me, yeah?
can see it. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. So I think it has kind of it is going that way. And like I said, the sport has evolved so much over the years. It's mad. Like I said, even from when I started to now, the talent that we have. But I'm gonna let you go now. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I would actually like to spend a lot more time with you another time. Um, but I've 5 minutes left on my
Uh,
thing, and I have the free one. But we're gonna talk about the after this fight, right? What's your plans? Do you have
yeah.
any plans, or do you just focus on one fight at a time?
Well, after this fight now, it will be 10 fights. So I always said to myself that I'd be considering a pro career after 10 fights, hopefully. But yeah, I want to close out the year with at least another fight after me and Callum go. And from there, I'm already training pretty consistently throughout the week, 6-ish days a week. So I feel like my training is already on that kind of pro landscape, really that commitment to it. So yeah, for me, it's just kind of I like to try and take it fight by fight, but by the end of the year, looking to turn pro.
So turn pro, or maybe one more fight and turn pro. But like that, I
Yeah.
think. We'll see obviously how this I'm actually going to be at the show. It's going to be my first time doing media this year, so it's going to be exciting. It's going to be good to see you. We're going to see if you're going to be howling at my camera again, which is I showed it to Amy Kelly and she was like, that is just such an odd like, and that's what I love about being in the cage after. All these things are raw, all those emotions are going, Joe. It's not like you knew you were going to sit down with me today. Do you know the sort of way? These things just happen. And that's like I said, we've had these conversations and then you
Yeah.
just changed. You said it unnerves some people, but I love it because I know the sport. And like you said with Bradley Dice, when you could hear me, like that's me loving the sport and love watching you doing what you're doing. And that's why I want to highlight what you do and what you go through because I think MMA is still marginalized a little bit from the general public. And I don't think they realize what you do and how disciplined you are. And 99% of people in MMA are good. There's always going to be the 1%. But I'm going to let you go. Is there anything you want to say before you go or anyone you want to shout out on? Thank you so much for your time. This has been such an interesting conversation. I like a lot of your viewpoints and a lot of things. And I think we'll have to have another conversation very, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% down to talk again. First of all, thanks for inviting me in. It's always a pleasure to sit down and chat. I just want to thank some of the guys coming up in the gym with me who are pushing me real hard. Kale Brennan, who's fighting with me at the weekend. We have an up and coming guy called Kiro. He's going to be jumping on the card as well. Himself, Miles, Paul Nolan. Big things coming for Paul now soon enough. He's been really, pushing me this fight camp especially. And the Team Rhino Waterford guys. We go up. We kind of cross train a little bit. Solomon King Simon. Big fight coming up for him. His brother Sam, Kevin Keogh, Lee Randall, a lot of those guys that would really kind of help push us when it comes to sparring. Obviously shout out to all my Myalo family, the community up there, the Jits crowd, my coach Miles Price, of course, got to get him in there. Yeah, just got to share love for my community and all the people around me pushing me.
Yeah. Best of skill this weekend. I love the way you cross train. I think a lot of gyms should do that as well because not everyone has the numbers of an SBG or an FAI. And I think like that to just get the bodies and like the people you named there, Kevin Keogh, Solomon, who for me has been phenomenal and he should be going towards a title shot after this. If he's not, it's a travesty in my opinion. But
I agree.
I'm not the matchmaker. I'm going to wish you good luck this weekend. I'm going to see you there in person. So it'll be good to talk to you again in person. And I will talk to you on Sunday.
See you, bud.